Going live, and I've got rum. All right. Welcome to the Gaming Perspective episode. This isn't numbered. So yeah, welcome to our XO18, the good, the bad, and the meh edition.
I think it's episode 29.
It's just called like XO18 year in review.
There you go. There you go.
That doesn't have to make any sense. Let's just roll with it.
Yeah, like I sat there and I was like, when I was trying to come up with the title, I was sitting there like, it's XO18. I was like, I'm kind of still feeling Red Dead. So I was like, the good, the bad, and the meh. So yeah, welcome to the Gaming Perspective podcast. We'll do some quick introductions. We've got Mr. Samuel Tolbert, editor for the Inner Circle Games Network.
Hey, I've been busy all day. How's it going?
Yeah, that is true. And we also have a writer from the Inner Circle Games Network, Jared.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Let's get going because we got a lot to talk about XO18, and it's I think it's going to be some pretty good conversation.
For sure. And also introducing from Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Mr. Eric Jackson.
The infamous Basement Radio Arcade Podcast.
You forgot the infamous title, brah. Come on.
What, brah?
Brah.
Eric, that ain't it, Chief. All right.
Oh, happy to be here, guys. Let's go.
And I'm Nicholas Downey, editor and general taskmaster at the Inner Circle Games Network.
The man who keeps the whips cracking on the affiliate program, which we appreciate.
Yeah. Can't I just call myself taskmaster?
Man.
Yeah.
All in favor of Nick being the taskmaster?
Nay.
You're here.
Hey.
Jared is overruled. Congratulations. Let's all give a round of applause for our new taskmaster.
I quit. I'm done. I'm out.
All right. So XO18 happened. It was loud. There was obviously a lot of tequila consumed. I just want to I'm just going to do a quick story before we dive into XO18. And I want to say quick, I mean quick. I tweeted out yesterday, I think it was Friday or whatever. And I tweeted out that I'd cancel my Fallout 76 pre-order because things just didn't line up. I had to get I'd get Hitman Collector's Edition so I could get it early, so I could get the review out in time. So I canceled my Fallout 76 pre-order. Wasn't really sad about it because I was kind of hyped for the game, but I was like, I can wait a week or two to play this game and then do the review after that. Worst case scenario.
That was the universe looking out for you. I hope you know that.
And then within... Damn it, Eric. And then probably about, I'm like 12 minutes, maybe, after I tweet this, I get a DM from a fellow, Mr. Dan Rodriguez on Twitter, and he goes, "You want Fallout 76? I'm like, well, kind of, but why? And he goes, well, I've got 3 codes. I've got one for me, one for my son, and one I was going to do as a giveaway, but if you want it, you can have it." And I was like, no, you don't have to do that and everything else. And he insisted. So I ended up getting a Fallout 76 code. I just wanted to take a moment to say thanks to Dan because I wouldn't be able to play and review this game in a timely fashion. And the biggest thing when you're reviewing games is the faster you can get your content out, the more relevant it is. So I just want to say thank you for your help on the channel, and just thank you for just being a great guy for all the times that I've struggled and you've reached out to me in DM. I may not always respond when I'm dealing with things, but I appreciate you. And I also appreciate everyone else that looks out for me and messages me and everything else. I go through bad times sometimes, and I just want to say I appreciate everyone that reaches out. Even if I don't necessarily respond, I see it, and I really do appreciate your guys' support. Both on this show and me personally and my family as well. So before I start blubbering like an idiot or do something dumb like that, we're going to talk about XO18. Why is it abbreviated like that? X0, XO,
X018.
X0. So I guess if Scarlet comes out, it'll be the XS18.
It sounds baller, bruh.
So I just want to.
Don't mind me. I'm here for the foolishness.
That's what you're always here for.
Here for the shenanigans.
Eric's just here to troll me, and I'm just here to troll the whole panel. So it's a good time.
It's all good.
So I'm gonna go down the panel, and I don't want to go in depth with it, but just give me a physical number score on where you thought EXO landed.
The number score, like for a non-E3 event, basically, like.
Yeah, like. I feel like I have to give a disclaimer for this. So give it a 1 to 10 ratio, but if you went into this expecting to see Halo, Fable, and like every other first party game under the sun and thought this was going to be bigger than E3, then set your standards lower. But since my panel's reasonable, I'm hoping, give me a number ratio, just a brief thought pattern. We'll dive into the good stuff, why'd you do that, and the bad stuff, because there was a good mixture of everything involved. So starting with Sam, what would you put the number at?
I would say a very solid 6.5 out of 10 is the way I feel. There was a lot of good stuff, but it was brought down by 1 or 2 really glaring omissions that should have been there, and some lackluster pacing. And the combination of those 2 things pulled down what was there, in my opinion. So,
yeah, that's fair. Jared.
Oh boy. Honestly, I think I actually put it about 7.5. I like what they showed. I didn't think they'd show too much. I posted a few days ago what my expectations were, and they kind of met my expectations, or what I felt would be announced, and I think it was good. It was a good showing. For the length of the show, I think it might have been just a tad too long, but at the same time, it felt also kind of right. So I got no major complaints other than kind of wish I was hoping to see Ash and Blow there, maybe a little bit more on the game side, but. Yeah, I got no major complaints. It was pretty good. More than what the usual Inside Xbox episode definitely usually is.
Fair. And the one I've really been waiting for, Eric.
Here we go.
Popcorn time.
I thought we all kind of agree we don't like number grades. Can I give a letter grade?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, sure.
You can also do a thumbs up, thumbs down, recommended, not recommended.
Metacritic must
pick. Passerby.
Yeah, you can do the Metacritic must pick, must watch.
Whatever makes you comfortable. Hell, if you want to do chronological order of why you think it's disappointing or exciting or whatever, just
5 out of 7 white gloves.
Yeah, there we go. I'll give this
3 out of 6.
7.5 Larry Herb floating heads.
It's like, what does that mean? I don't know.
It's what it is. I'll give it a solid C.
Okay.
It's like right in the middle.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah.
Sarah didn't like it. She's pissed. You hear?
Yeah. Oh, I hear. She's entitled to her opinion.
She sounds like a Nintendo fangirl.
She is actually. Like Mario is her world.
Oh man, I remember being that age. My world was Mario and Baldur's Gate. So I feel you. And see, I'm keeping up the consistency. Someone actually that follows this podcast has a tracker of how many times I'll mention Baldur's Gate in a podcast. Up to
really?
Yeah. Someone's actually keeping track. It's pretty damn good.
I will tell you though, with her being in school, she was doing her letter X's the other day. Words that start with X. Go figure, right? In pre-K. Mm-hmm. And she put Xbox in there.
Very good. An important word to learn.
I'm proud of you right now. I'm doing this right.
You're doing this right now. See, if she sort of, when she gets to the letter W and she says Wii U, you failed.
Yeah, she likes Wii U, man. She loves playing it. The first game we beat together was Super Mario 3D World.
I can't even knock the Wii U because you know what? If you picked up a Wii U now and bought all the games that came out across that depressing 3-year period, it was great. But the problem was there was no consistency to all those games coming out. There's such big gaps. But if you were to buy the software catalog of the Wii U,
solid console.
solid console. And you know what the most depressing thing is I went into GameStop to pick up my collector's edition of Hitman. They had used Wii U's there, and I was kind of like, how much though? And they were like $2.99. I'm like,
what?
Whoa! Whoa!
He's smoking.
They're on the good stuff, Eric. They are on the good stuff.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm looking at the Wii U's, and they've got the Switches right beside them. So they've got like Switches for $3.99, and then they got Wii U's for $2.99. I'm like,
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, though, man. That is gonna become something of a relic. No, I'm gonna tell you why. I know we're not talking, but this is the Wii U podcast. So I'm gonna tell you why. And it's gonna end up selling, and it's because it's gonna be like that last Nintendo console that actually has a virtual console that you can go and get Neo Geo, Nintendo 64, GBA, all in one console, right?
You know what? That's actually a good point I didn't consider. That's
when they get to the point when they say, "Hey, we're shutting down this server," mark my words, those things are going to start flying off the shelves.
Kind of like PS4s that have PT installed on them, but to an even greater degree, where the value just goes way up.
Until they put that, if they are putting that that fix out, it's going to like knock it off of everything. Because I still have it on mine.
The jury is still out. The jury's still out on there. I wish I had gotten it on mine. That infuriates me to this day. I got a PS4 literally the month after that game was canceled. So that's, infuriating. But, is what it is.
I see your praise Todd in there.
You must praise him.
We're not going to go. I'm going to be outnumbered, so we're not going to go that way.
Yeah. This
I don't want people thinking I'm a Bethesda hater. It's just Bethesda proper is, a little...
Hater gonna hate.
Everything around them, though, is beautiful.
Oh, my goodness. As long as you understand where the moolah comes from, you're okay.
Hey, man, they got a patch coming.
No, the best quote I saw, the best quote I saw on Twitter today. I need to do a dumb fanboy moment and just read one dumb tweet an episode.
No, don't. Please.
This tweet, and as it read, because I screenshot it on my phone because the stupidity hit me so hard, Bethesda Softworks has never made or published a game as good as Sony Santa Monica.
Blasphemous.
Well, I'm sitting there going, God of War is like one of my favorite franchises in history.
I mean, it's good,
but you're telling me Doom, Wolfenstein, Elder Scrolls, Fallout.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, absurd.
What?
Hell nah.
Like this is completely off topic, but why is it like Kofi mentioned this on Twitter? Why are some multiplats evil but some are okay? Like there's like a general consensus on social media, like nobody's talking about Hitman 2, nobody's talking about I can't even remember the game. That's terrible. There was another game. Damn it. What came out this week?
Battlefield 5 on early access?
Things like that. No one's talking about, like, reviews came out for Hitman 2 and Battlefield 5 on Thursday. I saw nothing on my feed about it, except for one guy talking about Hitman 2 review scores. Nobody cared. But everyone and their mother was emotionally invested in Red Dead Redemption 2.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And I mean, you guys can agree or disagree. One had a marketing deal around it. One had the better version.
Yep, absolutely. And it caused a war. Yep, it caused a war.
Hitman had a marketing deal and then a better version, or vice versa, whatever case you want to say. That would be talked about, not because it's a good game, but those other ancillary issues.
Well, see, and that's the thing is like the thing is like Hitman 2 has a Xbox One X enhancement, I believe. I'm saying this loosely because I don't know, because I'm just playing it and enjoying it. But it's pro enhanced it well, and it runs better on Xbox One X. Whoop-de-doo. Nobody cares. That's fine. Let's move on with our lives. But I don't.
Did Red Dead fix that HDR issue yet?
No, not yet. Not from what I've seen. No.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't understand why, like, some developers we have to put under super scrutiny. Like, Xbox guys on my feed always are super scrutinizing of, like, Capcom and things like that. And my PlayStation friends are always over scrutinizing of Bethesda because they're like, Bethesda's evil. They don't care about. I'm like,
say what?
Right.
And they're like, oh, Bethesda doesn't even publish good games. I'm like,
oh man,
Now they're lying.
the dumb.
They're
is
truly lying.
dumb.
Now we're getting into blasphemy.
Well,
Eric's awake now. Okay. Eric's awake now.
Eric's like, Dishonored is under attack. I'm
Exactly.
well, like you look at these studios, and you look how many studios have abandoned doing single player games to do multiplayer games, or shifted their focus, so to speak. And like Bethesda got flack for Fallout 76 because last year they were sitting there going, "We protect the single player games," and then they come out and they're like, "Online only Fallout." So like the backlash is well deserved on that aspect.
Sure, but there's also Rage 2 and
Yeah.
Doom Infinite, and I mean, and Tango Gameworks and Arcane are still working on games.
Yeah,
Crash came out this year, and you know.
and they're just doing different things, and I get that. I understand why people are upset about that, and I understand the whole getting your feels about it, but like dudes that are like don't even like Fallout are like, oh, Fallout 76 is trash. I'm like, why do you care? Why are you emotionally invested on whether it succeeds or whether it fails? Like, if I don't care about a game, I legitimately don't care about a game. Like, it's the same thing as, like, everyone in my feed was like, oh, Tetris Effects got amazing reviews. I'm like, it's Tetris.
Yeah, exactly. It's Tetris. It's just a
like,
fancy
no,
Tetris.
like, what they're doing,
Relax.
what they're doing with it, with the music and the animations and the VR capability, that's
looks
really
fancy.
cool.
It's still Tetris at
But
heart.
it's still Tetris, and anytime we re-release Tetris, it always reviews well, and it will sell well because it's Tetris. Tetris is the cornerstone of video games. I believe it's the best-selling video game. Yeah, it's the cornerstone.
Yeah, it is. Minecraft is closing in, but as of right now, it's still the highest selling.
Yeah, exactly. And like, okay, so just to wrap this up, because I'll never shut up at this rate.
Fair enough.
Listen, the key wrap-up point is I don't understand. You can't not care about something and then care about something. Like, as a general rule of thumb, I don't care about review scores, and I'm consistent with that viewpoint. Basically, I think my biggest problem with people as a whole is lack of consistency. The same guys that are sitting there going, oh, XO18 was garbage. Sony didn't even have to have a PSX to beat them. No, that's stupid. Sony not having a PSX sucks for their fans. I know so many guys that went to that every year that were dissatisfied with the fact that they weren't going to be able to see their favorite developers play demos of their favorite upcoming games. And there were so many aspects of that. But people were like, oh, Sony doesn't need PSX because they're killing the competition that much. They're killing the competition that much because they have a fan base that loves what they do.
Right.
The worst takes of 2018.
The worst thing you can do is abandon those things that you were doing to get that fan base, right? I'm not saying that's what Sony's doing, but
no, but you don't want to move in that direction. You don't want to give the appearance of doing that.
No, you don't. I'm saying, again, Sony, whatever reason, decided, okay, we aren't going to do one. And Sam and I talked about this. They should have probably at least done something of a fan fest and say, hey, we got these games on tap. We got swag. We're going to do it up. We're just not going to have a press conference, right?
Exactly. That would have been the correct way to set expectations. Make it clear, hey, this is for the fans who are paying for tickets to come here. This is for them and them only. Don't get your hopes up about announcements. And that would have been fine. Now, I'm not one of those people. I'm the odd man out where I was okay with watching developers. I'm okay with watching Herman, massage Corey's shoulder and say, hey, you really need to finish God of War. Like, I'll tune in for that. That's funny to me. That's cool. I like hearing devs talk, but I understand I'm in the minority on that. You're in the minority on that, Eric.
Right. I don't mind that kind of stuff too. But my point to that was going to be legit. I don't even like saying the word fanboys because fanboy used to mean something more positive. Like if somebody
toxic trolls.
If somebody was a fan back in the day, if somebody was a fanboy of something, they just were like all about it. They could talk on end about it, and you got excitement off of how they got excited about something, right?
Right.
We've taken that term and we made it a different thing. So yeah, let's go to the toxic side of it or whatever. When you give a pass to something like that, that's the problem with fanboys. and that's on every side.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you know, my favorite whatever can do no wrong, and I will fight you to the end, even if I know I'm wrong. You know, deep inside, it doesn't matter. I'll give that pass, right? So if someone's saying, well, they shouldn't have done PSX, you know, or it's okay for them not to do PSX because they're winning, that's a dumb take, right? Mm-hmm. Or on the flip side of it, you know, well, you know, Xbox doesn't need to do single player games because we only play multiplayer games. That's a bad take.
Yep.
You know, it's like, stop it. You can be a fan. Actually, if you are a true fan, you should, not that you're going to go digging for everything critical, but when something is not right, call them on it.
Exactly.
Because that makes what you like better.
Yeah.
Don't just think, no, I just can't do it. That's, you know, that's what, like Nick said, I have a problem with consistency on people like this. It's like,
yeah, it's like if you're going to have an opinion, at least be consistent
right.
in that opinion. And that's
being
fair.
Honest,
we can at least respect you for it.
Right. And being honest keeps things in checks and balances. It lets, you know, we shouldn't be in this thing where, you know, again, we talked about this ad nauseum, but where multi-million-dollar companies are defended with dogging you out. You know, it's right. Like, it just shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't be that way, but here we are. You know, people they do that kind of thing. So,
well, yeah, and to summarize, so we can go into XO18. I feel verified. I am an Xbox fan. I will never pretend I'm not. I got hardcore into gaming on the Xbox 360. I played PC and a bunch of other things before that, but when I really hunkered down and started playing a lot of video games, it was the 360, Xbox One, now PS4, PC, everything now. Mm-hmm. But I was one of those people back in 2016 and through 2017 that was screaming at the top of my lungs. I know Fame was as well. I know tons of guys that were like, we need something, because this whole Xbox cycle of E3, wait a year, E3, wait a year, E3, wait a year. It sucked. And then you had Sony that was doing this consistent thing of E3, Paris Games Week, Tokyo Game Show, and then PSX.
Right.
He always knew what was going on there. And I sat there and went, why can't Xbox do this? Mm-hmm. Why don't we have a show that's just for Xbox people? And like, that's why I don't knock people. Like half the people in my feed, oh, XO18 wasn't really good. It didn't really make me want to buy an Xbox. I'm like, no.
It wasn't meant to do that.
Inside Xbox as a whole is to just give fans updates on things they want to know. Mm-hmm. Now, it wouldn't be a bad idea to try to sell people on the Xbox brand using those shows. But if you're just doing fan service, and let's face it, XO18 was Mexico's fan fest with an Inside Xbox episode on it, where there's some really high expectations.
I think that ended up being a problem. Sorry.
And like, people can be hyped for something. Like, there was things I wanted to see at XO18. They didn't happen. And it sucks, because there's some things that I feel should have happened that didn't happen. And I don't know what their game plan is with it. But at the end of the day, I'm not a marketing whiz. If I was a marketing whiz, I wouldn't work in a warehouse stacking hydroelectric parts for what I make an hour. I'd be marketing things. But the thing is that they need to Xbox needed to talk more with their fan base, because Xbox's state of, like, just health bar wise, we'll say if they had a health bar in 2017, they were on the ropes. Even as a hardcore Xbox fan, even with like Cuphead and Halo Wars 2 peeking through, that was a rough year to own an Xbox. Yeah. And that's actually, I'm pretty sure 2017, it was either 2017 or 2016, I bought a PS4 because I was kind of like missing out on too much good stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's not a knock against them, because PS4 was just bringing really good stuff at that point.
Right.
But that's not a bad thing. It made me buy a PS4, and I opened myself up to a whole bunch of new games that I never knew I loved before. And reintroduced me to games like Uncharted and stuff that I played on PS3 that I hadn't played in a long time. So all in all, it was a good thing. But the thing is that Xbox needed more games. They bought more studios. They're going to work on that. Cool. I am interested to see what the results are of that. Is it going to be amazing right off the bat? Who knows? Hard to predict. But they're answering questions fans have. At this point in time, there's not too many questions in regards to the Xbox brand going forward.
Right.
Unanswered. The thing is that Microsoft they haven't given up on the Xbox One, but their focus has shifted to next generation, very much how Sony is shifting its focus to PS5. Sony and Microsoft are not trying to sell you PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones anymore. They're trying to sell you on what our future holds. And you'll see that E3 2019 is going to be the big push to sell you the next console. And I think Microsoft with X018 did a really good job at showing, especially with the 2 acquisitions they had, of what direction they're going to go. And they picked up good studios. So we're going to dive into X018. We're going to talk about some of the good parts. And basically how this is going to work, I'm going to bring up a part of the show and we'll discuss that specific part of the show. Make sense?
Yep.
Sure.
Kind of, yeah. I'll go with it.
We're just winging this because I didn't do a topic list because it's hard to do a topic list an hour after another show.
Fair.
So basically, one of the major highlights for me, we're not going to cover the studio acquisitions first because
save those for last.
Save those for last. We saved the booty for last. But one of the highlights for me was actually seeing Crackdown 3. Now, there's a bad side to this as well, but actually seeing them show off Crackdown 3's multiplayer is good. And when I say it's good, I mean it's good to finally see it. We needed to see it. They needed to show that off. And giving it a final release date of February 15th was another good thing. It's not canceled. It's not gone. It's coming February 15th. It doesn't look horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pass it.
She's not ugly.
Eric? No.
That's how you sounded up, man. It's like,
I know.
very nice.
I'm going to pass it off to a more optimistic person. Sam? Crackdown 3.
So Crackdown 3, really quickly, Crackdown 3 actually looks good. That's the thing to me. Graphically, it's way sharper than anything, because I played it at E3 2017, and this was a night and day graphics quality difference. Wrecking Zone was showed off, and it actually looks fantastic with the destruction, the combat, lots of unique guns. You're going to be able to customize your agent's appearance, so you're not just selecting from pre-built, pre-cut models anymore. And you're going to have regular multiplayer in addition to Wrecking Zone, so you can change things up. There's going to be the campaign as well, which Joseph Staten is writing, and he has an excellent history in world building and writing lore and things like that. So it was a good showing for the game. We needed to see that it still existed and that things were still okay, and that's what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is fair enough. Now I'll pass it over to another positive gem on this podcast, Jared.
Well, as someone is a non-Crackdown fan, it looked decent, but honestly, I don't know. It looks okay. I'm not too excited because I've never really actually gotten my hands on the genre or the game series itself, so I can't really properly make an input. But it's coming to Game Pass. I'm probably gonna end up playing it. And probably end up liking it. Like Crackdown. I know.
It's free. Give Crackdown 1 free.
Actually, I did that not just before this podcast started. I got Crackdown loading right now. I'm gonna start playing it tonight and see what all the hype about is for the original game. So
there you go.
If that works out, I'll get excited for Crackdown 3. But all in due time. We'll see what happens closer to launch.
Fair enough. And bringing the negative Nancy spin on things, Eric.
Let me first start by saying, okay, like I'm not a Crackdown hater. I love Crackdown 1. I played Crackdown 1. That was like an awesome surprise. Like again, we talked before we started on the show. It was a Trojan horse game that ended up. I care more about that game than I ended up caring about the Halo 3 beta. I'm not even lying about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So since how do I say this? Since Crackdown 3 was kind of talked about over the last 4 years or whatever, I was hyped when they first announced it. And then over time, of course, as we saw more and more, I was like, I don't know what's going on. It looks like a Crackdown remaster. If that's what it's going to be, I have no problem. We live in a world of remasters. Like, no, we're just going to remaster the first game, okay? You take it back, you work on it. Beautiful. What we saw today, I don't necessarily have a problem with, but I think I told you guys, I don't have heat for it either way.
Right.
And that's not to say that I'm knocking it. That's not to say that I'm overhyped for it. Like, it's going to be what it's going to be. At this point, for me, Crackdown 3 is going to be what it's going to be. So the only thing I have for it, and the only questions I have is, like, we're still at a point with this game coming in a couple of months where we can't seem to get a whole package on where this game truly stands. You know, and I get today they kind of just wanted to whet the appetite of saying, hey, no, multiplayer is still there, it still exists, right? But I had like tempered hype for that. It looks cool, it could be cool, but you kind of look at it and you go, well, how long will that stay interesting? If that's all that if that's all that is there in this world of all these different things that we have. I mean, look how much Destiny we play and get hype off of, you know. Is that going to pull us away? And again, I know I'm kind of going further down the road, but what was there looks good, but I don't know. I'm more into what the campaign is going to be. Is that going to be what the campaign looks like? Because the last time we saw the campaign, it didn't look anything like that.
Right. No, it didn't. And that was surprising. Like the graphics, not even talking about the destruction. You're absolutely right. The graphics didn't look that good on the campaign. So that does raise a question there. But
those have always been kind of, in a way, two separate things. You know, what they were kind of working on with the multiplayer and what the campaign kind of was being. So I don't know if those two are going to be, I don't know if it wasn't shown because they were tired of talking, not really tired, but thought fans were tired of talking about the campaign and just wanted to say, hey, the multiplayer is still alive. Or is there still something going on with the campaign? Is it going to look that good? Is it going to be, because it did look good. What I saw looked good. It's definitely pulled back from what they initially wanted to do or what they said they were going to do, like the fully destructible city.
Right.
Thing. But again, I think keeping like a realistic expectation, again, we'll see what it's going to be. But I know there have been trolls online who are still trashing it, but I also know that there have been Xbox fans who are like, you're almost kind of looking at it like they're almost just happy to see something. So they're like shooting for the moon on it. And I'm kind of somewhere in between. I'm like, there could still be interest, but the biggest thing I said was the biggest thing this game has going for it is that it has Game Pass backing it.
Right.
If they were just putting this out there as a title in retail, I'd be like, this might be, I don't know where this is going to go. But I don't feel that because it's in Game Pass. It's like, it's a win-win, really. I mean, if it's crap, it ain't hurting you.
Yeah,
if it's
like,
awesome,
okay, I'll just download it. It's what it is.
Right. If it's awesome, you got an opportunity. And if, again, they seem to be really committed to doing this $1 month for new users. So for those who don't have it, you have an opportunity to try it down the road, probably. Because I'm pretty sure they're going to keep running that promotion because they would not stop talking about it today. So again, Game Pass is a beautiful thing for this type of situation.
Absolutely.
You know, it takes some of the weight off of this game having to be a mega like hitter, I guess, so to speak.
Right. And it does let them grow, and we'll see what their plans are for free DLC or paid DLC or how all that's going to work. We don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. Yeah,
and I say that again. I say this as a Crackdown fan who hopes that this turns out to be like something awesome. But then again, it's like I said, it stands into that thing where if you are truly a fan, it's okay to be like, no, I'm disappointed in it, and it's also okay if it's good. No, they delivered. Either one is okay.
Right. Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. So that's kind of where I stand on that.
And to throw this into the mix too, because this is a fair assessment too, is selling Crackdown 3.
Like selling crack. Sorry.
Crack is whack, Eric.
I know, right?
The Dare Lion is disappointed in all of us.
It's been a long week. It's been It's been a very long week, guys. Sorry.
No, it's been a long week for all of us, dude. It's fine.
Oh yeah. But no, with the thing is in Crackdown 3, and this is the whole issue that Crackdown 3 is going to have an uphill battle with, is that when Crackdown 3 was first teased, that was what, 2014?
2014, yes. Was when it was
you look
announced.
at the games they were releasing in 2014 and the level of detail and everything else, Crackdown 3 was hugely ambitious.
Yeah.
For what it was going to do. And I understand that doing it in a multiplayer, server, cloud, whatever. I know the tech behind it's insane to maintain. I get that. But when you show Crackdown 3's multiplayer and you do a 2-minute segment showing off the multiplayer, and then you show a banging Just Cause 4 trailer on a whole new, a whole reworked engine, and it looks monumentally better. And like, we understand, because we talk about video games all the time, we understand that doing multiplayer destruction versus single player destruction is very, very different.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're a casual viewer and you go from Crackdown 3 to Just Cause 4, you're going to be sitting there going, why do I care about Crackdown 3 when this game's got weather that literally destroys everything and all these different aspects that go into it? Why would I care about this? Because everything's destructible. Yeah, and Just Cause, everything's destructible too, but it looks a lot better. So they're gonna have an uphill battle with that, because Just Cause comes out before Crackdown.
Mm-hmm.
And to be brutally honest, Crackdown 3 is also going to struggle in the fact that February and January are loaded. Like, absolutely loaded with games. And 4A Games not backing down on that February 22nd release date for Metro Exodus means that there's going to be one or two big AAA games releasing every week.
Yeah.
In January and February. Like, in January alone, you have Kingdom Hearts 3, Sekiro February, March.
Sekiro is March. Sekiro's March.
Sekiro's March. Resident Evil 2 remakes in February?
No, that's January.
Okay, January. So those were the two January titles. I was thinking of Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2 remake are all January. February's Crackdown 3, Metro Exodus. They moved Days Gone. I don't care. There's way too many games in the spring. Spring used to be my wallet's recovery time.
Makes you wonder what's going to happen in the fall/holiday season of next year, right?
Anthem's.
How could you forget Anthem?
Anthem, yeah, and Jump Force. And Jump Force is in there as well.
You're failing.
I forgot Anthem and Jump Force because BioWare hasn't been relevant in years, and Jump Force is anime garbage. So, yikes. But yeah, Crackdown 3 has an uphill battle. I'm glad they showed it at XO. I'm trying to think of how to bring this next topic up. Release dates. Lack of stuff that was at E3 that is coming 2019 that didn't get release dates.
Yeah, that was definitely a little weird. I will co-sign this one. In fact, do you mind me taking the lead on this?
Sure.
This is probably my biggest complaint, I would say, from the show. This was my biggest complaint, hands down. Ori, Will-O-the-Wisp, they reiterated it's 2019. Okay, cool. When does it come out? Oh, but side note, there is a positive thing for Ori. It wasn't previously announced that it was going to be in Game Pass because the deal was cut before the Game Pass exclusives thing was a thing. So that's coming to Game Pass. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a big deal, personally, because more people need to play the Ori games. But anyways, but when is it coming out in 2019? We don't know. Battletoads, we still don't know. Ashen is supposedly still coming out this year. The devs at Aurora 44 and the publisher at Annapurna Interactive are saying that every single day. So they're insistent, but
and we're running out of road, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can. Wile E. Coyote is putting out the track in front of the train as fast as he can, but we're running out of track. Like, you can keep on saying that, but you're running out of time to say that. Maybe as some have suggested, there's going to be a Game Awards announcement. You know, that is possible.
That's all that's left.
That's all that's left, exactly. So, but what's going on with Ashen? What's going on with Below? You know, the last night I'm not going to count because that we haven't really gotten anything, so the expectation wasn't really there. But Gears 5, and Gears 5, to be fair, Gears 5 was the furthest out of all of them, so I'm not really angry that didn't get a release date. That would have been a dream. Honestly, an E3 announcement for that was way more likely in the first place. But it's just weird how many games they've got coming in / the remainder of 2018 to 2019, and we still don't have a release date.
It's weird as a whole because it seems like Sony and Microsoft are distancing themselves from release dates so heavily. And I really think it's because of social media backlash from delays. We've, as a whole community, people used to get so pissed about delays.
Making them gun shy.
Yeah.
Like, anyone remember when No Man's Sky got that 1 month delay?
I remember. Yep.
You remember that? Whereas people on Reddit were threatening to kick in Sean Murray's door and slit his throat and kill his family. Yeah, that was.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. That was ridiculous.
Ninja games. Seriously, man.
Yeah, like basically any major developer has had these problems where if you put release date, you delay it, your fan base loses their bananas about it. And like, I get it. When a game's delayed that you're really looking forward to, it sucks. But you got to look at the long game for it. And I think that's why we're seeing companies get away from release dates and they're going to release windows or launch years.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sony started doing it. I say Sony started doing it because we went into PSX 2017 and they weren't even confident enough to slap did they put a window for God of War, or did they just say
they gave God of War a window. They did not give Detroit or Spider-Man a window.
Right. That's what it was. They said these games are coming 2018. They didn't say when, but these are 2018 games. As well as Days Gone and Dreams. These are guaranteed 2018 games. There's no way they're but I've noticed since they've started doing these release window things, the backlash from delays has been not as bad. Even when I think it's softened a bit too, because like when Days Gone got delayed again from February 22nd, people were like, that's fair. There's a lot of games on February 22nd. Why would you want all those games launching then? And it made sense. I think if devs are transparent, they could still do release dates, but the release window thing makes sense. But Microsoft's lack of release windows outside of saying 2019, and let's face it, after E3, they had a lot of games that were 2019. And I use quotations in the highest possible way. Like every one of those Gears projects was 2019. Battletoads, 2019. Cuphead DLC, where was that?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that, but you know what? That's a good point. That was a weird omission as well.
Like, Cuphead DLC is supposed to be early 2019.
It is? I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure it was supposed to be early 2019. Don't quote me on that.
I will quote you on that.
I know you will. But the thing is like there's all these things that are 2019 and they didn't show a lot of them, which doesn't give me confidence for a 2019 release date. And like them showing Below at PAX East and then never showing it again. Well, no, sorry, they showed it at E3.
It was at E3, yes.
They showed it at E3 and then we don't hear anything about it again. I'm just like... But they did a small segment about Tunic, which is a game I'm super excited for. But they did a brief thing about that, but we don't have anything about Ashen. We don't have anything about Below. It's just weird. It didn't feel right and it didn't sit right with me. And the lack of Cuphead really didn't sit well with me. And it's because I'm a bloody Studio MDHR fanboy at my core. And the fact that I feel like they don't get enough shine. And when they announced that DLC at E3, people were super hyped. That was Cuphead's one of those titles that bridges console war bullshit. When Cuphead came out, my whole feed was people going, oh, I can't beat this boss. How do I beat this boss? Or, oh, I got past this part. And there's all these people interacting, playing the game, getting all the achievements, doing all this. And everyone was just playing this game, one of those great games. And then when they announced the DLC, I was like, this is super cool. And I think XO18 is a great place to show Cuphead DLC. And now I'm just kind of sitting there going, it's going to be on an Inside Xbox at some point. Maybe.
Which, to be fair, is not a bad thing. That gives us stuff to look forward to in Inside Xbox.
But my major problem is they took up 2 hours of time, and I don't feel like I walked away with a lot of information. It
could have easily been an hour and a half show. I agree. It could have easily been an hour and a half.
Like like I'm not even like I won't even dunk on them for the Crazy Larry thing because that's from the 360 era, and
that was funny. That was funny. I was rolling with laughter.
It's so funny because like when I first started following video games like heavily in 360 and like early Xbox One, when I like would intermittently be at my parents' place. My mom always said that Major Nelson reminded her of like car salesman.
Right.
The like stereotypical used car salesman.
Well, he was dressed like one when the show kicked off.
Yeah. And
you say it's funny. Okay. I'll give that. It's like a throwback to those who have been there from the beginning, but any new customers looking at it like, what the hell are we doing here?
Well,
we have gone off the rails.
The thing is, though, is like every one of these companies has their corny gimmick. And like with Xbox, it's always something really silly with Major Nelson, like the gloves and things like that. With Sony, it was House, but they solved that problem. and with Nintendo, there's just something with Reggie that always makes me giggle. He always, like, when Reggie takes the stage, you always know he'll say something, and the fan base is like, but more. And he's like, nah, you're good.
It's because his body is ready.
Stop.
My body is ready.
No, just no.
Give it to me.
And the pacing of XO18, we went from like there was a period where we were writing like fiends. Me, Sam, and Jared were in the chat, and we were like writing because they were dropping all this stuff that was worth covering. And then there was like a half-hour gap where we're like,
yeah, no, seriously, there was. That was.
It wasn't that bad though.
It
wasn't that bad. There's
I was
3
trying to figure
lulls in the show that were 10 to 15 minutes long, and the rest was decently paced out. Let's not exaggerate a bit.
oh, come on now. I had to do a debate on whether or not I wanted to do a Battlefield 5 and 4K trailer write-up or cats and pandas in Minecraft.
That's just choosing what you want to write.
Here's the
prioritizing.
thing. Now, wait a minute. All right, hold on Minecraft, because here's the thing. That's one of those things where we can roll our eyes all we want, but they came out today and said 91 million people play Minecraft each month. That's not total players. That's not total players ever. That's 91 million people log in and play Minecraft every month. That's absurd. Like, that's ludicrous. They have to cover Minecraft. They are required to.
And I'm not gonna lie, like, people can hate me and call me a man-child all I want. Some of my favorite memories of playing video games is playing Minecraft with Anchorman. Like, if you ever want an intense Minecraft experience, play Minecraft with Anchorman. Like, I remember when Nick Barsai or Creepy Bunny got Xbox One. He was like, what's the first thing I should play? And Anchorman's like, you need to play Minecraft. And I'm like, that's the first thing you need to play on Xbox? And I joined in on it, and I understand it now. And like for some people, Minecraft is insane, and I understand why people love it. I've got the creative and emotional range of a teaspoon, so it's not really great for me. But kids love Minecraft. There's older people that are making functional Millennium Falcons, and there was the guy who recreated Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings in Minecraft. Like, you have people doing amazing things in that. I understand they gotta dedicate time to that show. And to be brutally honest, that trailer was kind of funny. I will always giggle at nature documentary style trailers for no matter what. You could sell me a Swiffer wet jet as long as it had like a documentary style joke to it.
So why do I feel like in the next couple of weeks you're going to come home and say, honey, I bought this Swiffer wet jet? She's like, why? Because David Attenborough was selling it.
There you go.
All right. We're going to cover some of the Game Pass announcements before we jump into the mouse and keyboard stuff.
Can I say one thing before we do something small, but it really deserves attention first?
Sure.
Final Fantasy 13, the trilogy, is coming to back compat, and it's going to be Xbox One X enhanced. And that is a really big deal. I'm looking forward. I never played those games before. Final Fantasy 15 was the first Final Fantasy game I played, but I'm going to go pick them all up and play those as a result.
It's a pretty significant.
I cannot be the only one who cares about this. Come on.
Probably. I don't like Final Fantasy. I'm not a fan of those games at all.
Eric,
We're talking
please.
about Final Fantasy? What?
No,
Eric.
Sorry.
Well, Final Fantasy 15 was like the first one I ever finished, like beginning to end.
Same. It was the same first one I ever played.
Yeah,
But-
because back in the day, I wasn't really into like turn-based RPG, and as time has gone on, like I've become a much bigger fan of those types of games. So Final Fantasy was something I didn't really rock with too much back in the day, even it being like a PlayStation gamer. You know, so I mean, like I see them announce Final Fantasy and I would definitely go back and play those in my retirement.
Yeah, fair enough. I can't.
Yeah,
fair enough on that.
It's just not there. Yeah. So So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, Final Fantasy is being shared with the world right now.
Yeah,
It's just like it's everywhere now.
Final Fantasy is one of those games where I've never cared about the franchise. I've never been emotionally invested in the franchise. I think I played an hour of a Final Fantasy game. I think it was 12. It was on the 360. I know that much because my friend was like, "Oh, this game's amazing. You need to play it." I played it for like an hour, and I was like, "This is
trash."
Yeah.
Jared.
I've just never had an interest in the game. Like I've been meaning to play Final Fantasy 15, but it's like Persona 5 and all those other ridiculously long games where I'm like,
No, it really isn't, dude. You can get 1,000 out of 1,000 G in 70 hours on Final Fantasy 15. Persona 5 is
70 hours. Damn.
Yeah, but come on,
that's short by so many standards today,
dude. But don't compare that to Persona 5. That's ridiculous. Come on.
there's like 30 hours.
Witcher 3. How many hours, Sam? Like 230 plus
100 if you just want to do the story and a handful of the side quests.
Man, I'm at like hour 88 in Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not even close to 100% on that game.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, so it's a nice thing. It was a nice announcement. Anyways, you said there was some Game Pass stuff to cover, Nick.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
There's a fresh article for you to pull up for you.
Oh no! Actually, I was looking at an image, but to 100% all achievements in The Witcher 3, this is just the base game. Okay, it will take you roughly 500 hours.
Whew.
Might be a slight exaggeration, but I believe it. That's probably a slight exaggeration.
Well, it's accounting for the fact that you have to play through the game on the hardest difficulty, and that's probably going to be a slow playthrough, right?
Right, and then that's probably going to be a second playthrough as well. That's probably what they're counting there. That's probably a second playthrough.
Yeah. But regardless, insane completion time. Persona 5's got something ridiculous like that as well. But yeah, no. Final Fantasy coming to all these platforms is great. It's coming to Switch. It's coming. All these games, they're classics. People love them. People can play them again, and people should always be able to play the games they love. So, damn it, let me play more Baldur's Gate. So, Game Pass games. So, the 16 Game Pass games that they announced, they're coming to Xbox Game Pass via X018. So, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Anyone's thoughts on PUBG hitting Game Pass?
It makes sense. It's a good move.
It's only a matter of time,
it makes
honestly.
All I'm hearing is lack of excuses from Eric now to play it.
That is what it sounds like, Eric. That is what it sounds like.
I'm a man of my word.
He's like, dang it, Phil. Why'd you make that deal?
Dang it, Bobby. Void Bastards, which
great name.
Great name.
It's an edgy name. It's an edgy name, that's for sure.
I know I'm going to be in the minority, and if people want to think I'm a fanboy because Xbox showed it, I just think it looks cool. Like, I don't know what it is, but it just looks really weird and unique.
Yeah.
And
can we stop qualifying something? On this podcast, I mean, we're gamers, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to qualify, but because you prefer Xbox, that you're a gamer. So if a game looks good, let's get back to the point where a game looks good. It doesn't matter what platform it's on.
Yeah. Well, I
think it looks like trash.
From here on out, yeah, what looks like trash, looks awesome. Looks awesome. Doesn't matter.
And just the fact that in the actual tagline from the developers, they're like, "We drew heavily from BioShock and System Shock 2." I'm like,
yeah,
amazing.
But in the reverse, we have issues like, no, there's no BioShock influence here. Like, what?
Why are you lying?
I'm lying.
Well, that's why I always love developers. You see their games and you're like, "Did you play this game before?" They're like, "No."
What is that? What game are you talking about? Oddly like Pac-Man.
I swear it isn't.
It's every platform developer ever that claims they never played a Mario game.
Everyone's played it.
You ever played Tetris? Never heard of it.
A general consensus, Hellblade's coming to Game Pass. More people are going to be able to play that.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Good.
It makes sense. They're Microsoft first party now, so they're coming to Game Pass. Awesome. Both Ori and Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori Will of the Wisps will be on Game Pass.
Fantastic. Absolutely love those.
Because apparently, I didn't realize this, but people were like, "Oh, thank God Ori and Will of the Wisps is coming to Game Pass." We didn't think it was. Apparently, there was some dispute on whether it was going to be coming to Game Pass or not.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know this, but no, it was not actually originally coming to Game Pass because the deal for that game was signed and inked before Microsoft Studios exclusives coming to Game Pass was a thing. So they actually had to go. They had to go and renegotiate the whole contract to get that to happen. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I didn't understand why people were like, "Oh, thank God." I'm like, huh. Had no idea. So that's cool. I'm going to take the opportunity through Game Pass. I own the game already, but I need to actually sit down and play Ori and the Blind Forest.
It's good. It's really good.
Wait. You haven't played Ori?
No.
Son of a bitch.
No,
there are two must plays in this generation of Xbox. One is Ori, the other is Cuphead.
Son of a bitch.
And I should play Ori because it's not long.
No, it's not. It's amazing. No. That's why you should play Ori.
There's an achievement for beating it under 4 hours, I believe. You can.
Money.
You have that achievement, Sam?
No, I do not have that achievement. I'm going to try the Ori, wrapping up some Ori achievements, getting some stuff there, and the Devil May Cry games is my December goals. We'll see how that actually holds up.
Beating Ori on the hardest difficult. I only know one person that has 1,000 of 1,000. I mean, that's just me personally, and that's Rand.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, he is the only person now that I can think of it that I know of as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because isn't one of the achievements you have to finish in under a certain amount of time in under 5 deaths or something?
Those are two separate achievements. Those are separate achievements. But no. The one of them is beat it in under so many hours. The other is beat it without dying.
Without dying,
bro.
And when you play it, you go, how the hell do people pull off this achievement? And how have people gotten this? Like, this is insane.
Imagine playing a game just a bit easier than Cuphead. Easier than Cuphead, but not by much. But you have to beat it without dying. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I think we broke Nick's brain.
Yeah, I just don't question things Rand does in video games. I just sit there. It's like, 100% this game. I'm just like,
yeah. I was like, that's 1,500 in Forza in like one day. How?
Yeah. To be fair, I used to be on the other side of that until I got the Spider-Man Platinum in 3 days, and I had dudes ringing me up going, "How?"
No, the number one dude I will always remember is we had him on the show, Fatal Mephisto. He had the God of War Platinum. God of War came out on the Friday.
Right.
He had the Platinum Monday at 3 a.m.
How?
Exactly. Let's keep this a trend. I like it. I like this. Let's keep it going. What in the actual heck? That's just.
And he even admitted he didn't sleep. He cranked a bunch of Red Bull and everything else. So, like, people can do it. and people can do insane things in video games. I am not one of those people.
If you like in the ER, the doctor says, "So, why are you here? What's going on?" I stayed up for 4 days straight playing God of War. I drank nothing but Red Bull.
And Doc's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I think we know what's wrong."
Right.
So we've got Thief of Thieves, which is season 1. So it's an episodic game.
Okay.
Right. Looks kind of interesting. I can't remember who the developer was that was behind it. It was a big name like the lead guy behind it. Thief of Thieves. Oh, by the way, it was also a comic. Apparently.
Yes, it was.
Robert
Blue Manchu
Kirkman.
Comics. Yes.
Yeah, it's Robert Kirkman based on a comic series by Robert Kirkman. So the guy who did The Walking Dead.
Oh, I might actually have to check that out then.
It's available right now.
Cool. I will check that out sometime.
Kinds of announcements.
Mm-hmm. Aren't they great?
Yes,
and it's available now.
I like them. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm playing Red Dead.
Yeah, seriously.
And I can't even get through chapter 2. What am I going to do?
I just love the fact that Sea of Thieves and Thief of Thieves are right near each other in the Game Pass lineup.
right?
Now we need Sea of Seas and Thief of Seas, and we will complete the quadrilogy.
No, that sounds terrible. All those game titles.
Your SEO will forever be borked.
Yeah, pretty much.
There was Kingdom 2 Crowns, which I'll admit looks really old school, but some old school style games are really, really cool.
Yeah,
Plus, it's in Game Pass. After Charge, which they didn't really talk about, so I'm just going off image. It looks cyberpunkish. I don't know.
Okay.
Supermarket Shriek, which why? It's 2 animated characters in a shopping cart.
It looks funny. It looks funny.
But will it beat Westerado though?
Game of the year, man. Game of the year. Calling it now.
The biggest thing that came to Game Pass that hit me as surprised was Mutant Year Zero.
Yep.
Hitting Game Pass.
Yeah, that's a big deal, actually. That's a pretty big deal.
Mutant Year Zero, I've been excited for ever since they debuted it. I was like, ooh, okay. I'm interested. And the fact that everyone's tagging it as .com is the greatest thing in history with its XCOM style gameplay and everything else. It looks awesome. Really excited to see what it ends up being. And the fact it's on Game Pass, it means I'll check it out because it's always hard with new IPs especially when they're quote unquote double A's, on whether or not you're like, do I want to sink $60? It's what happened to Onrush. It's people going, that's a really cool game and everything else, but is it worth 60? And a lot of people said no, unfortunately. Pathologic 2. It looks like some sort of semi-generic horror game.
Okay.
Secret Neighbor, which is, I guess, a follow-up to Hello Neighbor. Because that did really well.
All right.
And I still don't know what that game is about. I see it everywhere.
I don't either. Whatever.
It's a hit with the kids.
Yeah, that's like one of those Five Nights at Freddy's type things, right?
Yeah,
where it's like the younger audience gets it for some... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The upcoming Swery, I will never get his name live. The Good Life is coming to Game Pass.
I've heard good things about that. That's good. That's good to see.
Which is cool. He always needs a wider audience for his games. Is amazing. He did. He was the developer behind Dark Dreams Don't Die, right?
Yes, D4. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, never had that. Never played it.
It's really sad because the ending's a cliffhanger, and he doesn't own the IP, and the publisher didn't want to pursue a sequel, so the series is literally cliffhangered into oblivion, and he wants to finish it, but doesn't own the IP and can't get any interest in it.
Get on the phone with Papa Phil. Tell him and Booty to cut some more checks.
Yeah. Agents of Mayhem, which really. Nobody cares. Just let this game die. Like, It's like someone took Crackdown and Saints Row and tried to have like a dumb baby with it. And that's what Age of the Mayhem is. It looks terrible.
No, but you remember when that was like highly anticipated?
Oh, I remember.
Dude, I remember saying it was trash and people were like, you don't know. This is going to be the next Saints Row. I'm like, no, it's not.
Like, Game Pass can't save everything. They want Game Pass to be like Captain Save-A-Ho. Like, just
like, clear? Clear?
MXGP3, which is a dirt biking game.
That's the one I was waiting on.
Hey, okay, that's cool.
Fair.
Not for me, but that's cool.
Not really.
And Thomas Was Alone, which is a almost 6-year-old indie game that, hey.
Did you guys kind of notice? Did you kind of notice a trend there? It's like they kind of started really up here. And then we were thinking about those last few boxes, like, oh, I wonder if Ashen's going to be one of those boxes. And it's like, nah, Thomas Was Alone.
They didn't have the better ones in the top half. The top half was the better ones, minus the sweary game. Minus that.
Right.
Yeah, well, that was my thing. Is like I sat there, they had the like last 4 squares hit, and I'm like, oh, what is it? And they're like, The Good Life. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool because like Sweary's a really great creative mind. I'd love to see what he's doing. I'm glad he's getting that support. And then they're like, Agents of Mayhem. I'm like, nope. MXGP3. I'm like, nope. And then I'm like, Thomas Was Alone. I'm like, well, that's an easy 1 hour 1,000 gamer score, but why? Why?
They know their audience.
Listen.
But at this point, shouldn't everybody like kind of? I shouldn't say that because I don't have 1,000 in that. Hey, I'll get it now. I don't have to buy it.
There you go. But yeah, so Game Pass announcements were pretty cool. We're going to go into something that I personally was disappointed with.
Okay.
Mouse and keyboard support.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I'm with you on this, but go ahead.
There's a reason I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed that mouse and keyboard support is coming.
No.
I'm not disappointed in the hardware they showed off.
No, that looks really cool.
And Razer is the right partner for making peripherals with Xbox. They did everything right there. But the games they chose for mouse and keyboard support debut, I was kind of like,
there's a couple of standouts. Warhammer Vermintide 2 makes sense. That's a good one.
I'm pretty happy about that one myself.
I'm looking at it. Fortnite makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Vermintide 2 makes sense. Warframe.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Warframe and Warface, those make sense. Yeah.
There's 3 games with war in the title for mouse and keyboard. We got Warface, Warframe, Wargroove,
and War Thunder. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Yes, I think it's
War Thunder. Okay, so there's 4 titles with war in it. Lord. Bomber Crew, which I didn't even play that. So that tells you something. DayZ makes sense. Deep Rock Galactic, that's a good addition because playing co-op games, especially FPS style games with mouse and keyboard support, cool. Strange Brigade, but what? And this is my own fault. When I thought they were going to bring mouse and keyboard support to Xbox, I figured they'd try to hit it off with some first-party stuff. I thought that maybe Halo Wars 2 would get mouse and keyboard support. I thought maybe we'd see mouse and keyboard support for PUBG because, like, you can already plug a keyboard into your Xbox One and navigate the menus and walk around in PUBG. You just can't aim and shoot.
They should stabilize and kind of make sure the game is a little bit more polished first, in my mind.
Well, let's not get into that conversation. We can spend an hour talking about the state of that game.
It's been 86 years since it's been released. It is finally polished.
But like me and Sam were talking, like, where's like the Warhammer games? Like, there was a huge opportunity to blow people away.
Why are you bringing this up?
And
why?
Because we're all suffering. That's why.
Because Warcraft 3 Reforged gets announced at BlizzCon. There's a perfect opportunity for Microsoft to throw some money out and bring Warcraft
easily.
Xbox.
You know how much money that game's already going to sell an insane amount, but can you imagine if it was like, okay, now it's actually coming to Xbox and you can buy it through Xbox and play it on Xbox and you go.
The most disappointing thing to me is you've got devs that are literally biting at the bit to get their game on Xbox. People like the developers of Frostpunk who said, we want to do an Xbox version, but we can't simplify to controller. Why? If you're going to bring mouse and keyboard support to console and get people excited for, why wouldn't you have reached out to those developers to get that? Why wouldn't you have used your own first-party games to buffer this support.
The hardware side of things seems fine, but the software side is a little weird, to say the least.
Yeah, they didn't pick any games where it was like, yeah, I need a mouse and keyboard for that.
Mm-hmm.
They sat there and they picked a bunch of a handful of SPS games, and not good ones either. Like, nobody cares. How many times is Warface gonna Warface? How many times is that game gonna fail before it finally goes away, like into oblivion? Like, that wasn't that a game on 360 from Crytek?
It was, yes.
And it failed, and they shut it down, and then they're like, let's bring it to PC, and now they're trying to bring it back to console. Just go away. Give me Rise 2. I don't want anything from Crytek until they either give me Rise 2 or they bring back the Crisis series. Otherwise, I say good day.
Well, now wait a minute. What about the Hunt Showdown?
I said a good day.
You mean the game that was supposed to be a game preview that still isn't there?
Exactly. You know what? It is supposed to be coming to game preview, and we've there's no word, no nothing about it coming to.
It was supposed to come to game preview in 2018. It was tagged with DayZ, and as I'm pretty sure it was Eric or Sam saying we got Wile E. Coyote running out of track right now.
Yeah,
and this is the thing is like. The thing is I would have preferred them to hold off on mouse and keyboard support until they bring it to games that it matters.
And bring games over as a result of it.
Exactly.
That's the bigger thing. Like, here's the thing, dude. Honestly, I'm not as peeved about games not supporting. Like, that'll come with time. That's fine. I really don't care about that. My bigger thing is, again, where's Frostpunk? Where's Total War? Where's Warcraft 3 Reforged?
Give me Age of Empires or give me Death.
Age of Empires, come on, bring that stuff over.
Yeah, like the whole thing that everyone got excited by with mouse and keyboard support was that Age of Empires could come to Xbox. Because I remember being pissed, and I was one of the Xbox fans that I legitimately tweeted Aaron Greenberg, and I went, "Why isn't Xbox getting this?" Like, you have Microsoft marketing Xbox brand marketing the hell out of Age of Empires, and Xbox fans don't even get it. It's my same problem that I've been screaming at a wall about with Gears Tactics. Why are we getting these games and they're not available on the platform that you guys represent? And then you offer mouse and keyboard support, but you don't give us any hope or even talk about another slew of games coming, or even okay, so mouse and keyboard support's coming to Fortnite. Okay, I get it. It's a popular game. But you will win me over more with mouse and keyboard support is if you said that Halo Wars 2 had an update tomorrow and you could use mouse and keyboard support. I get Fortnite's popular, but there's games that make sense with mouse and keyboard support, and they missed it. They completely dropped the ball to me in the software side of things.
Well, at least the door is open now, though.
Yes, the door is open now, and I hope...
There's potential for the future. This was just the first step. There is potential for the future.
Let me be clear with this. This is like the PlayStation name changes.
Well, no, it's not going to erase your content and destroy your profile, but I digress.
And go on a date with your sister without your permission.
Exactly.
But the thing is like, I don't care if the other games, it's like if Call of Duty Black Ops 3 doesn't support my name change, that doesn't bug me as long as all games going forward do. And the big thing is like with mouse and keyboard support, I want more games doing it forward. If games that are already been out for a year or two don't want to go back and add it in, I'm fine with that. But going forward, I want to see a consistent push for it. And people can, I know I'm going to get comments about this. I always get this comments whenever I talk about mouse keyboard support. They're like, why don't you play on PC? I do. I just prefer mouse and keyboard peripherals while still getting achievements on my Xbox.
Who doesn't like options?
Well, the thing is, on top of that, it's like I want to give you money. Bring these games over and let me spend money on your system. Like it, I don't know. It is what it is. I know. It's
Yeah, it is what it is. I just want to see more games adopted going forward. I want to see more RTS games. I love RTS games. That's one of the main reasons I bought a PC. RTS games. Talk about a couple of the small things that we can kind of breeze through. The Metro Exodus Spartan Collector's Edition. Anybody?
My God, things look good. That bro.
It looks nice.
But
no, but looks nice.
Oh, okay, all right. You had an edge in your voice that made it sound like there was a butt coming. Okay,
oh, no, that's my horrible attempt at Borat.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm sorry, I wouldn't have gotten that. Honestly, I wouldn't have. But, no, it looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that was again another highlight of the show. That really take what you can get.
Yeah. You know what? The thing is like every time I see Metro Exodus, I just smile. And
it's gonna be so good.
The thing is you can bash Xbox for having such a having to rely on heavy third-party presence to fill out their shows. But I'm glad games like Metro Exodus and especially Xbox's insane interest in Devil May Cry 5. I'm really happy that these developers are getting time to shine. Like Xbox is doing it out of a place of we don't have as much as Sony to show. So we need to fill in the gaps with third party until our first party starts cranking out. But this is giving developers that would not get the chance to take a stage as often get some front and center attention. Like, I remember everyone lost their mind when Metro Exodus premiered at E3. That game was literal insanity. Everyone was like, what is this game? So many people I knew went out and bought, myself included, went out and bought 2033 and Redux. Or not Redux, Last Light. The Redux is the remaster, sorry. But went out and bought those games because of that E3 presentation.
Yeah.
And played through those games and found out these were really good games. And I'm glad they're getting these opportunities to shine due to shortcomings on another front, giving these games time to shine, because I think Metro Exodus would be really easy to lose in the mix if it didn't get so much stage time, because they sold the Xbox One X on it. They're like, look how good the games look on the X. And then they've just kind of been rolling with it, and the game looks amazing. Sea of Thieves is getting an arena mode, so 50 different ways you can fall asleep while playing Sea of Thieves.
The arena mode looks cool, dude. Come on now.
Sam, this is one of those cases where everything just can't be for everybody.
that tone of your voice says like, Sam, it sucks. And that's just the way things are going to be.
Look, it doesn't have to suck to you.
I know, it looks cool. It just looks really cool.
The thing is that, and I've got people that watch this podcast that are huge fans of Sea of Thieves. I've got people that hate it. I don't hate it. I just think it's nowhere near as cool as I had imagined it when they've been showing it off before. And I really wish I'd waited to jump into the game until a couple of updates in, when they added in a bunch of stuff, versus playing the base game for 2 weeks when it first launched and going, really? This is it? This is the like huge swashbuckling pirate experience. And I know tons of people that love this game. You're allowed to love this game, but honestly, it just bores the crap out of me. I don't even know what they could do to draw me into it, because Skull and Bones looks boring as hell to me too.
Right, and that's just it. Because like, and I'll second that. It's like, I don't hate Sea of Thieves because there's plenty of things in life to hate. Hating a game isn't one of them.
Except for NBA Playgrounds.
which sponsored XO18.
Eric's like, I'm trying
Sam,
not
Sam,
to.
no, here's the thing, Sam. We have things to compare that to.
Right.
That are infinitely better, but they won't give it to us. Right? Sea of Thieves doesn't have that. So I'll hate on NBA Playgrounds. I just don't care about Sea of Thieves.
And that's fair. You guys know I'm joking around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like Fallout. It's like, I don't hate Fallout.
Mm.
I respect Bethesda, of course, but I like to make fun of it because I know how people feel about that. It's like, you just can't do that, right?
Right.
But yeah, I don't care about Sea of Thieves. It's just like, I kind of don't care about Fallout. It's kind of that kind of thing. It's like, I like everything else around that, but it's just one of those things. Like, yeah.
No, I get that. And Sea of Thieves could do some things. Like, I'm going to jump back into it because there's been so many content updates. I really give Rare credit for putting the work in that they have with the game because they've done a really rare thing.
Yeah.
They've done where they've managed to appease their main player base while adding in content without losing that core base. Well, some people have gone back in and started to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, because a ton of people,
it makes perfect sense.
Like, a ton of people played it at launch. A majority dropped off, and there was a hardcore group that played it. And then as they added more content, that group stayed interested in Sea of Thieves, and then more people started coming back with the content updates.
Weirdos.
Arena mode looks cool because, I mean, we need to learn more about it. I do want to say that. We need to learn more about it, but the idea I get is it's a tight space around one of the islands or in an environment where there's 4 ships and it's like a last man standing thing. So it's like all the action, all the tension and cool stuff in Sea of Thieves without the boring stretches. You can just hop into a match. And I think that will be a good way, honestly, to sell people on the game. I think they should have had that at launch.
The thing that would sell me on Sea of Thieves, and people get mad at me whenever I bring this up, because they're like, oh, well, it's supposed to be a level playing field at all times. A level up system where instead of just doing cosmetics and ship upgrades, let my crew have an island. And I understand it's a multiplayer focused game, but having like a base customization as well as ship customization and everything else, and just more options is what I wanted.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree with you.
And I would like a nice, fun pirate RPG adventure campaign around that game. I love the look of that game. I just don't. I have limited time for multiplayer stuff, and
I understand that.
And it's just
no single player game done in the Sea of Thieves engine and how it was done and everything else. If they had stuck a corny, if they put a corny, not a Conker's Bad Fur Day, but we know the kind of stories Rare used to tell, right? They put a corny Rare story in there. They could put a banging campaign in there.
Yep.
And they still can, to be fair. They still can.
They still can.
And that's probably, I think we talked about it a long time ago, Sam. I was like, if they do that, that might be that thing, because maybe, I come for the campaign and then I get hooked into that multiplayer part of it.
Right. Absolutely. I do think, though, that letting people have a mode where they can see all the action and all the cool stuff immediately about Sea of Thieves is a good move. Even if it's a little late, I think it's still a good move for them to do. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, the game that I will get ragged on for, it will be in my top 10 games of 2018. State of Decay 2 is getting a free update with a bunch of new stuff added into the single player portion, which I love the support they've had with this game. The tacked on horde mode update they did, I can take or leave that. But the main story, and I love randomly generated worlds, and I love survival games, and there's just so many things I loved about State of Decay 2. If that game had taken a month to launch and polished out a lot of those big ugly bugs it had at the first couple of weeks, it would be a very different story for that game.
And let me tell you something. And when it comes to that game, as somebody who really never played the first one, didn't really care about it, and Sam will attest, I gave that game a go.
Right? Yeah, he did. No, you absolutely did. And I remember you saying, well, no, I'm not going to take it away from you. You I remember you saying that it's even with the issues it was having at the time, and even with some of the co-op connectivity stuff, you were like, there is something here. The mechanics and the systems they've got are addictive. They work. Right. They just need to get everything, the core is fine. They need to get everything around the core in order.
Mm-hmm. And you remember when I tweeted before it was announced that they were acquired, I said, if this game had like a huge budget and like more time to really flesh things out, like you said, there's something there, right? The only thing I would love to go back to that game, but there's just too many other things that are pulling me away from that game.
And that's the issue, right? That's the issue with anything is like we have to only do the cream of the crop nowadays because there's so much.
Yeah, there's not enough time, and there's just so many like other titles that I'm more invested in.
Which is why sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying if I don't know, if it was like I can't even think of a time we've had a drought. You know, maybe if it was like earlier in the generation.
Yeah, exactly. If this was 2014 or maybe even 2015.
We're at this point with games right now that there's so many coming out. If a game doesn't hit the mark right off the bat, it's going to get forgotten.
Yeah,
honestly, we are. That's fair. That
and
really is.
And funny enough, that's one of the weird double-edged swords with Game Pass.
It is. No, it absolutely is. Like because it forces you to look at all the stuff going on.
Right. And you start when I think I told you guys earlier, you literally at times can get gamer anxiety because you're like, I'm playing all of this. They keep adding this. I really want to play that. Where am I going to get to play that?
Mm-hmm.
You know. And and what I think was probably going to start hitting you and where they're probably making that money is people may try something, not be able to get back to it, realize it's going to be pulled off, and maybe they buy it. I don't know.
Hey, Phil, even today mentioned that he said it doesn't make any sense. We're not saying the data makes sense, but people who are on Game Pass buy more games than others.
He did say that.
He did. I remember him saying that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a logic somewhere to how that works. I couldn't tell you what it is.
I could tell you what it is just because I have one friend that does it.
Mm-hmm.
And what he does, and this is weird, like this isn't like a general consumer thing. This dude literally used to just play Madden, hockey, and COD. Game Pass.
So that's a general consumer thing.
Yeah, general consumer. He was a dude, bro. Me and him used to play COD on a pro team together. That was it. And he decided he wanted to get more into video games. Tried out PS Now, didn't have the internet connection for it, so then switched over, tried Xbox Game Pass. And what he does is he'll buy a month of Xbox Game Pass and try out as many games, like play 2 hours of like as many games as he can. And then he'll go, I want to buy this one, this one, this one. Before the Game Pass runs out, he'll buy those games, beat those games. That'll take him like 3 months to beat those games that he buys. And then he'll get another month of Game Pass and then play through another 2 hours of wherever the additions are, and then figure out if he's going to buy those games. He uses it almost like a demo program.
Yeah, he's got GameFly going on.
Yeah.
I mean, if it works, it works, you know?
And keep in mind, though, that, like, A, that's not a new or normal consumer move. B, we don't have GameFly in Canada, as far as I know. So we're really limited on our rental options for
it's not like GameFly is big here in the US anymore.
GameFly,
either.
You know, I tried GameFly like years ago, and the problem with GameFly was they never had the game that you wanted.
Yeah.
It was always like someone had it or they just couldn't, you know. So I was just like, whatever. You know, and I kind of gave up. Yeah, that's why something like Game Pass is like brilliant. But for guys like us who have tremendous backlogs, Game Pass is still great, but it is very much one of those things where you're like, ooh, man.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to, because we have to wrap up the show and everything else, we're going to talk quickly about the Obsidian and, oh God, I just tweeted about it. Oh, In Exile.
In Exile.
I want to call it, I kept looking at it and going, In File? No, In Exile.
No. That In Excess is Phil and Matt Booty's wallets right now. They got the checks from Satya flowing. And they're like, another one. And another one. And another one.
I will say this in terms of studio acquisitions because I saw this on Reset Era and I kind of agree with it. I don't know why I agree with Reset Era threads. I really question my sanity sometimes.
I'm starting to now as well.
I'm glad you guys do all the Reset Era stuff for me.
We are your shield, Eric.
Yeah.
We are your
shield. The same thing with Gap. I was like, people hate Gap, but you guys can stay out of there.
I touch that site and don't go near it. I'm just like, not today.
Sam's the Reset Era guy. I'm the Reddit guy and 4chan guy because Sam won't touch either of those sites with a 10-foot pole.
Good man.
And between the two of us, we cover the toxic sites for you guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But there was a post on Reset Era, and they were like, we spend so much time talking about studio acquisitions, we lose sight of the actual good that comes from studio acquisitions. Because people just look at it as, like, when people talk studio acquisitions, 98% of them are talking about console war crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's, this studio belongs to us, we're better than you mentality. The way I look at studio acquisitions is studio acquisitions mean financial security for that developer.
Absolutely. Look at the videos that they put out, both In Exile and Obsidian. Both of them, I don't know if you guys, I mean, I know YouTube, but Eric, I don't know if you watched it, but both were very clear, like, it ain't easy being an independent dev anymore. It's really tough for them. It's extremely difficult, and if Microsoft is letting them do their thing, but have Microsoft's resources, that's like, okay, where do I sign? Absolutely.
We've hit this point, and what happens with these studios and whether they put out good games is up in the air. I won't pretend like this is going to be amazing, but the change of conversation that went on from Microsoft 2013 to now is a good one, because I think Xbox One's failure at launch in the end was a good thing as a whole. And when I say this, is there's a culture change in Microsoft and Xbox. If you look at all the burned bridges that Xbox had with Japanese developers at the tail end of the 360, most of their first party games were made by third-party developers. And all those kind of aspects, they were set up really poorly for the next generation. The thing is that they also treated these studios very poorly. Epic had a terrible relationship with Microsoft. You talk to them about the development of Gears of War 3, and you hear about some of the stuff that Microsoft hired as higher-ups were butting heads with Epic Games higher-ups, and some of the things Cliff Bleszinski said in regards to that. And Rod Ferguson was even transparent a few times and said that was really rough in that era. And these failures, and then Phil Spencer taking a lead and pretty much overhauling their leadership, I think in the long run it's going to pay off for them, and it's going to be huge. Are they going to overtake PlayStation next gen? No. But I think they'll have a lot better showing next gen, because they've got the positive mind share of the community. And like, you can sit there and it's easy to dunk on Xbox because they've got 3 to 4 years of mistakes that you can dunk on. But in this past year, acquiring studios, and not only are they acquiring studios, they're telling the stories behind these studios. And you can call it PR, you can call it what you want, but that video from Ninja Theory hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, man.
When I watched that, because they made a masterpiece with Hellblade, and we had console warriors fighting to the nines going, this is a PlayStation exclusive. This is the best game that ever happened. And the game barely hit 1 million copies between Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
Which is unfortunate, because it's one of my absolute personal all-time favorite games that I can't get enough of.
Yeah. And it's such a unique game, and I can go on about Hellblade and games like What Remains of Edith Finch and all the artistic directions and all the risks they take with those games. But the fact that Ninja Theory made Hellblade, it was a critical success. Everyone said this is one of the best games of this year. And Ninja Theory sat there and went, we'll have to close our doors.
Yeah, and that's horrifying and heartbreaking.
It's horrifying because they said if they sold 500,000 copies, they would be fine. And then they sold 500,000 copies and realized that they weren't fine. You look at Obsidian, they had to kickstart their past 2 games. You can't live like that. I've worked as it's not the same. I've worked through temp agencies. And not knowing if you're going to walk into work and not have a job the next day is a terrible mindset to work under.
Yeah.
And it's a reality for so many independent developers. And I don't care if Sony was buying these studios, if Nintendo was buying these studios.
No, the point is that they're secure.
The point is that these developers have secure places. And if Microsoft is really about, and they keep saying it is, we want to buy these studios and let them do what they do with a bigger budget. That's awesome. That's the way it should be. And to be brutally honest, that's how Sony's first party studios was built, on that principle.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some flat tires along the way. There has been a mountain of failed, closed Sony studios.
Especially in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. From PS1 to PS4, they have closed a mountain load of studios that weren't successful, that they took risks on, that didn't pan out. And that's all part of it. I don't think all these acquisitions Microsoft's gotten are going to pan out in the long run. Some will, some won't. Some will do incredibly well, and some may just do average.
Yeah, and people have to keep that in mind too. Like, I know it's become this thing of like, it's the acquisition game. Like, that's kind of like become the hype, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
but we're gonna get to a point where acquisitions are great, but now they still have to make games, and they still have to make games that appeal, and they still have to make games that, you know, even though I know most people say, well, we got Game Pass, so you still have to make a game that's, you know, solvent.
And to be fair, I'm not concerned about that per se for Obsidian or Exile. I think they can do that.
Well,
Absolutely.
see, the thing is for me is
that not like those guys, but you know, when you look at like who am I thinking?
Compulsion. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in Compulsion.
I think they're wild and crazy enough to maybe pull something else off. I mean,
I think the thing is I will say this because I was a huge fan of We Happy Few. And I am a person that I lost I had 24 hours logged into the game, and I had my save file corrupt due to a bug in the game, and I lost my whole save file.
Brutal.
I think if they have the budget to quality test their games, they could make something really special, because it's the core development team minus Adam Levine and a few others. Ken Levine, not Adam Levine. That's the guy from Maroon 5.
I was like, wait a second.
It's the same team that made BioShock Infinite. That's Compulsion Games. That's made of the core development team of BioShock Infinite, which is one of my all-time favorite games. It's missing the core creative mind, so they need to have someone take that role that knows what they're doing and guide them, and need the financial backing. I think they could make an absolutely insane next game, but they could also make an insanely bad next game, and that's just the roll of the dice with developers. Not all developers can, like, Naughty Dog could launch The Last of Us Part 2, and if it has a story flat tire, and like, this isn't likely going to happen, but if The Last of Us 2 randomly dudded for no reason, I'd go, well, that's fair. Naughty Dog's hit it out of the park for like, what, almost 2 decades? Everyone gets flat tire. I believe every developer has that one game where they're like, every developer has one, or they hit a point where they're like, this isn't it, and they have to restructure or whatever. But it's great to see Microsoft acquiring RPG studios, because as Eric said earlier in the show, and Sam said as well, the original Xbox was an RPG machine.
It absolutely was.
It was founded on RPGs and quality Japanese titles as well. There's a lot to that, and we're seeing Japanese titles coming across now. We're seeing Phil fight for these Japanese titles.
It covered genres. It covered what
exactly.
The reason it has the fan base that it has initially was that, I mean, Sam, you say you could talk to Cal about this. Cal will tell you, you know, what made him attracted to an Xbox.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm the same way, you know, and then somewhere along the line, mid 360, they just kind of pivoted. So I'm really glad, like, Phil's doing this work to buck that trend and that system, and that, like, you get like Xbox guys who like to throw that out there, like, no, we only like multiplayer games and not these one and dones and this jab crap and all this stuff. No, a true console, a game system, should support every type of gamer. It's not meant for one particular type of player.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the whole Phil has been digging this thing out of.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I like that he's bucking that trend. He's putting He's going across and trying to bridge that gap. Say, hey, we know we turned you, when you go to Japan, we turned you off to our system. And I don't think it's about at all selling Xboxes in Japan. We talked about that.
He's outright said it's not.
Yeah,
it's about
because
we have a Western audience. How can we bring your games to them?
Exactly. And I think Sony's in that same position. They're not selling PS4s in Japan like PlayStation used to sell. That's just not the culture there.
No, the culture there is mobile. That's why only the Switch is surviving, really.
Yeah, Nintendo has a pretty firm stronghold in that market.
So, but it's saying it's a different regime, guys. It's a new day. We need you and we want you there. And I think they're listening. They're absolutely listening.
Right. So we'll see what the future brings. Like I think I'll steal this from you, Eric, because you said this a while ago. Saying wait until E3 is no longer a bad thing. Because, when all these guys start firing off, there's going to be a ton of stuff to fit into just one E3. So let's see.
And I think the trend that they're also kind of bucking is, and something that was said about Microsoft at one point, like if it doesn't make, like millions, or if it doesn't sell millions, they don't want to deal with it. So that's where
they're bucking that as well.
Right. Yeah, that's where they got into the thing of Halo, Gears, Forza. Like if it didn't automatically sell, they didn't want to touch it. And again, I think you have to cover your bases. Like Nick said, some of these things will survive, some of them won't. Some of them may turn into other things, or they may go into other studios and say, we're going to dissolve this one and then move you guys over to this one. It could be that kind of thing too. But this may not sell enough, but it will speak to a particular gamer who may not have been considering an Xbox.
Right. I was talking to a guy who I will keep anonymous because of his job position. And we were talking about Obsidian. Because Obsidian, there's a lot of doubt in what they can do with their own IPs, because a lot of their greatest hits were other people's IPs. Knights of the Old Republic 2, Fallout New Vegas, they didn't own any of those.
Fortunately, Microsoft owns a bunch of great IPs, like Halo, where they could make a Halo RPG.
And this is what he was. This is what my friend was alluding to, is the fact that if you took Obsidian and let them make a CRPG, but made it in the Gears of War universe, the Halo universe.
Oh my God.
Like a classic RPG in the Halo universe, especially Obsidian style. I know I'm in the minority here, especially amongst social media gamers, but Obsidian makes some of the best CRPGs. And on recommendation from Jared, actually, I picked up Bard's Tale 4.
Yeah, that's
because it's the closest thing I'm ever going to get to a Baldur's Gate sequel. That's the fourth time this episode. Fourth time. But it's the closest thing I'm ever going to get to a Baldur's Gate sequel. And there's a lot to be said for doubling down on unique games. This is what Sony sold the PS4 on, was we have these really unique games. And you can argue to the cows come home that the launch for Xbox One and PS4 was meager in titles. But when PlayStation started escalating, like Bloodborne, amazing game. I haven't played a lot of it, but it has a huge fan base. It made hardcore Souls players play a Souls game that was completely different from other Souls games.
It's I have.
Yeah, and it converted people that didn't like Souls games to liking Souls games.
There's nothing.
It remains my second favorite PlayStation exclusive game.
Easily.
I'm one of those stupid people that I think the Order 1886 was brilliant.
Fortunately, you're in stupid company, so welcome.
There you are.
The big thing for me.
Am I the only enlightened one then, thinking it's kind of mediocre?
Well, it's fair. But the thing is I bought it for $2.99 versus the full $60. So if I bought the full $60, or if I bought the collector's edition, I could understand where people are. But to me, that game had so much potential. And games like Until Dawn.
Until Dawn is a hidden gem. I love Until Dawn.
And the thing is there were so many games that Sony took risks on in the early stages of the PS4 that didn't pan out. And people always sit there and they rag on Sony because they're like, oh, well, they're just relying on big, heavy-hitting AAAs. And I'm one of those people. I ragged on them in the early part of the generation for relying heavily on indie titles and being for the indie developer. And then as soon as the AAAs started hitting, they seem to have forgotten the indie developer. I will rag on them for that.
I'm not going to rag on them, but it's worth noticing. is what I would say. Is like they don't need to forget why I bought a PS4 in 2015. Like don't forget how you got here.
Yeah,
I didn't just buy it for the blockbusters.
And that's the thing is you look at House Marquee as a perfect example. PlayStation was loud and proud about House Marquee every point, and now House Marquee is self-publishing on PC. Yeah. That's a telling sign of not good.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they took so many risks in the early stage. And as a gamer, you've got to appreciate the risks. They don't always pan out. Some things flop. But you've got to appreciate the risks.
That was the cry to Xbox. Like where they were, from coming into 2013 and even late 360 going through 2013, it was like you're not taking risks anymore. Like, we talked about this before. You had Sony at one point chasing what you were trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Always looking for the killer of Halo, the killer.
And it was only when they realized that wasn't going to happen that Sony started like, okay, let's make our own stuff. Let's figure out what we're good at here. And that's when they took off.
Right. And I know I've seen people say, well, I don't want Xbox to do what Sony's doing. I don't either. I don't need them doing that. But I need them to create something or to do something that shows that they have the fight. They have not created this generation's Gears.
And that pushes Sony back as well, because Sony right now is riding on the fact that, well, apart from Rockstar or CD Projekt Red once every 6 or 7 years, we're the only ones making these big budget games. But if Microsoft goes, aha, but we can do it too. We're not doing as many, but we can do it. Then Sony also has to branch out, because that no longer becomes the determining factor that people are getting their consoles for.
Right. Exactly.
It benefits everybody.
That's what you try to get people to understand, But if you want to play the war game for fun, go for it. But people take this really serious. And it's like you don't need to take it that serious. You want them all pushing each other.
Yeah, you want that push and pull effect, because that's what made this generation so great. Is the fact that Microsoft started this generation cocky, got absolutely lambasted at the start, caused them to overhaul, get Matrick out the door, get Phil Spencer in the door, and then I would not want Phil Spencer's job coming in after Matrick. You're just sitting there going, what is this thing? We went to E3 and tried to sell this as a television box. What do I do with it?
Funny. That was after having the videotape of what not to do from Sony.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's why I'm terrified of next gen. And why I'm terrified of next gen is with PlayStation, because they have such a sizable lead. They're heading into PS5 with a lead they had with the PS2 generation. And we saw what happened when they had that lead. They completely shot themselves in the foot for the first half of the generation. PS3 recovered, just like Xbox One is recovering. It's never going to do PS4 numbers, but it's still healthy. And that's what you want, is you want these companies to learn from these mistakes. But I really don't want PS5 and Xbox Scarlet or Kate Upton or whatever the hell is going to be called. I don't want one of these companies to have to take a shot in the foot for 3 years because of coming into the generation too cocky. And I think
they'll find themselves in the same position where they're trying to fight back.
Yeah. And then we're going to get some really awesome games out of that.
Right.
So at the end of the day, studio acquisition.
It's a tale as old as time. I mean, damn, I sound like a Disney movie. It's just that's just how corporations do.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple does it, Samsung does it. They all kind of like get into this weird thing where it's like, they dominate. I mean, look how Apple was when the iPhone was first dropped. Now you got people saying like, where are they innovating?
Well, and look at Samsung with the S7 when they had those like exploding or light on fire phones.
The Note 7,
yeah. They lost. It was something like $9 billion in 3 days. 3 days they lost $9 billion.
Right.
And Apple lives in a constant state of if the next iPhone doesn't sell 50 million units, the doors close. Because that's just how the company operates. It's it's like the mobile market's completely screwball and incomparable to the video game market. But that's the thing is, like, companies drop the ball all the time. Look at all the companies that have done bad advertisements and shot themselves in the foot. Like, look at it's different, but not really the same. But look at how much Papa John's, the pizza place, has to recover because their CEO put his foot in his mouth.
Oh man, you see their like advertisement now. They are diverse as hell.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Though. It's like, but that's what I'm talking about. It's like it takes a company sometimes it takes a company to majorly fuck up.
Yep.
For them to get better. And I truly believe in the long run, Microsoft is going to be better off because of these screw ups in 2013.
They will be. Yeah.
I think they are in a better place because the focus now is back into 360 era. They didn't have first party studios. Like Gears of War was made by a third party developer.
Yeah, that's crazy, but it was. You're absolutely right.
A lot of their big titles were made by third party developers. Bungie was a third party developer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Halo was made by, you think about it, Halo and Gears of War, the games you associate with Xbox were made by third-party developers. That would be like Sony having The Last of Us being made by Square Enix.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
And being like, okay, well, we can trust them with it. And then Square Enix going, no, we're going to make this a multiplat because we own it. Right. Like Microsoft lucked out because they bought Halo. Or they owned Halo, and they bought Gears of War off Epic Games because Epic Games struggled to figure out what they could do after Gears of War.
Yeah.
Luckily, they hit a ball out of the park with Fortnite, so Tim Sweeney will forever have his 70 million Lamborghinis.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the thing is, like, what do they do? Or I hope they're thinking of next.
Yeah.
Because that, as fast as that went meteoric, that's going to fall out. That's just how it is.
Even Fortnite won't last forever. That's correct.
It'll be immediate, and it will be like, I mean, it'll still have a base, but when we say immediate, when you drop off from being the juggernaut to only having like a few million players,
they can't live off of just that.
Look, you look at. I'll give you a perfect example as we wrap up. Look at Brendan Green, or quote unquote player unknown. If you don't think he's looking at the next game past PUBG already, you're crazy.
You better be.
Because the thing is we're headed. The thing is too is like it's the same thing with Ubisoft and a lot of these developers that have huge multiplayer titles, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege. They've got to start thinking because we're going into a next generation. What do you do next generation? Do you port the game over and keep building on the base? Do you make a sequel? What do you do?
Make a sequel. You make a sequel and you improve on what you've already done and you resell it. You basically repackage it, but you have to make sure those quality of life improvements are substantial before you do so. Otherwise, people are just going to be like, oh, it's basically the same game like it was before. Why didn't they port it? Sort of thing, right?
Right. So what you're saying is they've got to make enough improvements where it doesn't feel like it's a reskin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with Rainbow Six Siege, they need to make a sequel and call it Rainbow Six Siege 2, which is going to be the most ironic goddamn thing in the Rainbow Six Siege, the Rainbow Six series. And in conclusion to this whole episode, because it's been all over the place, because I've been drinking rum this whole entire episode.
We couldn't tell.
It's been very concise.
What blows my mind is we've almost reset the console generation, like with games, because we had God of War 1, we had God of War 2, God of War 3, now it's God of War again. I'm like, am I going to hit PS6 and it's going to be God of War 4 again?
Well, not only that, and then we've gone from Halo 5 to, okay, it's Halo Infinite.
Yeah,
resetting everything.
I can't wait for the sub-sequel like ODST was. I can't wait for Halo Pi.
All right, that's the end of the show.
Yeah,
we're going downhill. We've gone downhill.
We have transcended. This is the point where Nicholas is starting to hit the point of being drunk, and we do not want to keep going. Sam, I need an open invite for Tick Podcast later.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh no!
All right, so this has been the Gaming Perspective Podcast, the good, the bad, and the meh edition. I will let everyone do their outros. Samuel?
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert. You can find everything I write on tickgamesnetwork.com. Please follow me.
Yeah, I've got to say that if you follow me and you don't follow Sam,
Yeah, no kidding. You guys gotta follow Sam. He's so knowledgeable on a lot of game matters. You just gotta.
yeah, it just blows my mind when Sam's like, I just hit 400 followers. I'm like, why do 1,000 dumbasses follow me?
Yeah, I'm sitting here at
come on.
1,700 and going like, man, he should be the one with 1,700.
Yeah, no, but like I sit there on a daily basis. I'm like, this is what gives me no hope for the gaming community. Is why I see guys that are dumbasses with 9,000 followers. I'm looking at people that actually know stuff about video games and beat video games with like 300, 400. I'm like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
And Jared, your outro.
Well, people can find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X or as well at tickgamesnetwork.com.
And where he does very awesome work, and his weekly wrap-up pieces are probably one of the best ways that you can catch up on news on a week-to-week basis. And we are legitimately one of the only sites that does pieces like that. So definitely check that out when it comes out, usually on somewhere between Sunday and Monday.
Mm.
It does really great work with it and does it a lot better than I ever used to.
Oh, no.
And Eric, where can the good people find you?
Yeah, you can find me Wednesday night at 9:00 on Brap Podcast and also on Twitter at EC Jackson with an X.
Right on. And Basement Radio Arcade Podcast is a affiliate of the Inner Circle Games Network, just like this podcast is as well. And we actually have some pretty exciting Inner Circle affiliate stuff going up on the site next week. We're going to kick off spotlight features for each of the affiliate podcasts. Every week there's going to be a different affiliate featured. We're going to have their best episodes as well as when they go live and more information about the affiliates. And also keep in mind, if you are a podcast or brand manager for a podcast or a live streamer and you are interested in the Inner Circle affiliate program, you can contact me directly via Twitter DM, or if you check my bio, my business email is there as well. We are always interested in positive and hardworking people at the Inner Circle Games Network. And if you're an encouraging games writer, we may just have a spot for you. I am Nicholas Downey. You can find my work all over the web at the Inner Circle Games Network. And you can, for any hot and spicy and inappropriate responses, you can follow me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. We got some really great stuff cooking on the YouTube end of things over the next couple of days. So please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to check back every Saturday night for the Gaming Perspective Podcast. We are one of the most consistent podcasts on the internet. Thank you for tuning into this amazing episode, and we'll catch you guys all next week.